Over to you, Mustafa. We are online.
Hello, everyone. This is Mustafa. I'm the director of the Law and Technology Research Center at the Global Institute of Law. I'm joined today with Zofia. Zofia is a PhD candidate at the University of Silesia. She is majored in public health. She's going to talk us now about setting global standards for waste management. When, who, and how. Zofia, how will you talk us about this? Go ahead.
Thank you very much for having me today. Yes, my topic is setting global standards for waste management, who, how, and why. And I would like to start from some thoughts from World Bank, What a Waste to Zero document, a global snapshot of solid waste management to 2050 report. Well, according to this report, without our urgent action, global waste will increase by 70% on current levels by 2050. Driven by rapid urbanization process and growing population, global annual waste generation is expected to jump to 3.4 billion tons of waste over the next 30 years, up from 2.01 billion waste in 2016. To understand today's discussion topic, we need to first answer a question: what do we understand through waste and waste management? So basic terminology, short introduction. Well, as for waste, there is no global legally binding act that would define waste. To precise what we understand for waste, one has to look at common dictionaries and encyclopedias, or draw a definition from legal acts in force on a smaller scale. And so, as for Cambridge Dictionary, which is well known, waste can be, according to Cambridge Dictionary, waste can be understood as an unnecessary or wrong use of money, substances, time, energy, abilities, etc. We know the term waste of time, but for today's discussion, we would like to understand waste as garbage, trash, rubbish, waste material, or unwanted things that you throw away. And in the European Union, on European Union scale, the most significant legal act about waste is a Directive 2008/98/EC of the European Parliament and of the Council of November 2008 on waste, where waste means any substance or object which the holder discards or intends or is required to discard. So one from the three mentioned must be met to qualify something as waste. First, you discard it or throw it away. Second, you are intended to discard it or throw it away. Or third, you are required to discard of something. Well, the general understanding of waste as a substance or an object to be disposed of is well known, but also in English common law, you need to remember that what can be disposed of also includes the selling for gain, the object of transaction. So when I'm selling something, I'm disposing of it, but it's not a trash, not garbage. You need to remember that. And sometimes defining something as waste can be challenging. And as an example, I can give a snow, falling snow that we have on ground during the winter. Well, in Poland, year after year, there is this war between the owners of houses, real estates, and municipal authorities, how to treat snow and who is responsible for dealing with snow drifts, these piles of snow by the road during winter. And the owner every day removes snow from their pavements, the pavements that are by their houses, and they remove the snow to the communal road. And after some time, the snowplow, this car that pushes snow away from the road, comes from municipal authorities, and it moves it back to the pavements. So it's here and forth. And in the middle of this battle, there is a question: what is snow actually? And it is treated like waste that should be, removed from your property, that should be taken care of. But it's still hard to define because you've got the waste that is disappearing during the warm times of the day, and then it comes again when it's colder. So it can be difficult to define something as waste. Also, talking about waste, I would like to introduce you a term of byproduct, which is not exactly a waste. I will explain shortly because you may meet this term in everyday life. And a byproduct is a substance or an object resulting from a production process. The primary aim of this production process is not to product the said item, and it may be regarded as not being waste, but it needs to meet some conditions. The further use of byproducts of this substance or object is certain, and the substance or object can be used directly without any further processing other than normal industrial practice. The substance or object is produced as an integral part of a production process of something else, and further use is lawful. It as the substance or object fulfills all relevant product requirements, environmental requirements, and health protection requirements for the specific use, and will not lead to overall adverse environmental or human health impacts. This means breaking with the belief that only the final product is produced in the production process and everything else is waste, because we also have this byproduct. The legislator allows for the appearance of byproducts that are not waste, provided that 4 conditions that were mentioned are simultaneously met. And as for some example of byproducts, for example, food fines as food for animals like my bunnies, pet bunnies, from the cereal processing. Molasses is the sweet, dark, brown, thick syrup used in cooking during the sugar refining. Fruit oils recovered during the peeling of processed fruit. Straw from grain harvesting. Salt yielded during the distillation of water. Ash, which is used, for example, in gardening, from fuel combustion, and buttermilk in the manufacture of butter. And something that is waste doesn't have to be waste for the whole life cycle. It can end its status of waste, and end of waste status is a situation when something ceases to be waste. While certain specified waste shall cease to be waste when it has undergone a recovery process, for example, including recycling operation, and complies with specific criteria to be developed in accordance with the following conditions. And it is 4 conditions. First, the substance or object is commonly used for specific purposes. Second, there is a market or demand existing for such a subject or object. The substance or object fulfills the technical requirements for the specific purposes and meets the existing legislation and standards applicable to products. And the last one is that the use of substance or object will not lead to overall adverse environmental or human health impacts. And as an example, when you drink something in glass bottle, and this bottle is thrown away and collected through this process of reuse and recycling, and it's used once more to contain new beverage. While you see it on the shelf at the market, it is no longer a waste, but a package for a new product. You can reuse a glass bottle many times. While countries usually have their own lists of waste, that makes it possible to catalog the type of waste for the purpose of managing it properly. And some waste are qualified by the material they consist of, like, plastic, glass, paper, and sometimes the origin of waste is taken into consideration, like with my pharmaceutical waste that are a topic of my thesis. When a pharmaceutical waste is generated in hospital, we deal with medical waste. But the same type of waste originates in household during everyday use of drugs, medicaments, and then it is treated as municipal household waste. But no matter of the above, we still deal with hazardous waste with pharmaceutical waste. It is necessary to remember that something what is a waste in Poland doesn't have to be a waste in US or China. As for waste management, the common definition is management is the process, the control and organization of something. And according to our European Union Directive of Waste, waste management means the collection, transport, recovery, and disposal of waste, including the supervision of such operation and the aftercare of disposal sites, and including actions taken as a dealer or broker. And in our topic, there is a term of standards of waste management. For waste management, what are those standards? There are some rules that are above national legal order on the international level concerning proper waste management. Such standards should be set mainly because of environmental protection reasons. Proper waste management should lead to creating the least pollution possible, and also to maximum reuse of substances, with minimizing losses in energy and resources. So let's search for some actual standards on the international arena, where first there's a standard of priority of waste management actions. That could be understood as what is the most desired way of dealing with some waste. Waste hierarchy was developed at the European Union level. It's a priority order in waste prevention and management legislation and policy. For EU, it's first prevention, second preparing for reuse, third the recycling, four other recovery processes, and five is disposal. Disposal is the least desired way of dealing with waste. So the solution in the first place is the minimalization of the amount of waste. The less, the better for the environment. Where waste cannot be avoided, recovery of materials and energy from waste, as well as remanufacturing of items and recycling waste into usable products, should be the second option. Recycling leads to substantial resource savings. And for example, for each and every ton of paper recycled, 17 trees and 50% of water can be saved in comparison to the new product. Moreover, recycling creates jobs. So it's good for job sector, employment sector. The sector employs 12 million people in Brazil, China, and United States alone, though the issue of China will return later. What is interesting, there is no global golden rule how to manage waste. The trends depend on current knowledge, technological possibilities, and national policy. A great examples are biodegradable materials, biomaterials. In Europe, there is right now a huge trend of making and using biodegradable material for everything. And such materials, under the right conditions, like temperature, etc., decompose, freeing carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. While the same products, if they were produced using materials that last longer, are more durable, and which allow long-term storage on the landfills or other proper areas designated for storing the waste, could prove as a valuable source of materials, especially carbon, for future. This carbon could wait to be recovered on this landfill, rather than escape to the air and vanish to the atmosphere. The methods of recovering coal, carbon, and other substances from waste are constantly improving, which bodes for the future with solution that will allow to do the recovery of most of the components that made up the original product. The second standard I'm aware of is general policy for the economy. And the European Union and the global community seeks to create a society of recycling, the society and economy that is based on circular rather than linear economy. And a linear economy, a singular economy also, is an economy where we have this concept of buy, use, and then throw away. And a circular economy is the one that keeps materials as long as possible in the loop, making mainly thanks to the recycling process. A circular economy is systematic approach to economic development designed to benefit business, society, and the environment. In contrast to the take, make, waste linear model, circular economy is regenerative by design. It aims to gradually lessen growth from the consumption of finite, this non-renewable resources. Also, it aims for sustainability of the products. So circular economy is a restorative and regenerative economy. What are the rules of circular economy? Well, in first place, less waste needs to be generated through the development of sustainable products and the massive deployment of infrastructure for reuse and repair and recycling. Secondly, it calls for investment in greater recycling capacities, in particular for food waste, plastic, and packaging waste that achieve only low recycling rates today, or that have been exported for recycling to China in the past. And as for recycling in China, I will move later. Finally, incineration and landfilling in this circular economy have to be reduced to minimum, whilst at the same time tackling the legacy of European landfills to regain land and ecosystems. So current landfills should be changed to a new ecosystems. We should get rid of any landfills in Europe. And I will now say something about this China that I have been mentioning. Well, China moved to a ban on importing any waste. China's environment minister at the time, Li Ganjie, I don't know if I'm reading it right, noted that China used to import around 4 to 4.5 million tons of solid unrecyclable trash. And 20 years later, the volume of the same solid waste trash had grown to 45 million tons. Since it began reporting in 1992, China has imported 106 million megatons of plastic waste, making up to 45% of all cumulative imports of plastic worldwide. In 2016 alone, about half of all plastic waste intended for recycling, which is this all plastic amount is 14.1 million megatons, was exported by 123 countries, with China taking the primary place for this recycling process, and China taking most of the waste, which is 7.35 million megatons of plastic from 43 countries. Another country, for example, that recycles plastic is like Malaysia, Sri Lanka, and Philippines, I'm aware of. In 2017, China announced an unprecedented ban on its import of most plastic waste, resulting in a sharp decline in global plastic waste trade flow. And from 2021, January, China banned all imports of solid waste. So they are locked for any import of the waste. And before the ban, mainland China was undoubtedly the single largest importer of plastic waste, importing about 55.7% of world's plastic waste. So it's huge. And they're closed, and United States and Great Britain, and also Germany and Japan, they are the countries that produce the most waste for export the most waste to the other countries that allow importing waste. So United States needs to deal with their waste right now all alone. And as for some international initiatives for circular economy support, on 22 of February 2021, so this year, the Global Alliance on Circular Economy and Resource Efficiency was launched, bringing together governments and relevant networks and organizations. The Global Alliance on Circular Economy and Resource Efficiency aims to provide a global impetus for initiatives related to the circular economy transition, resource efficiency, and sustainable consumption and production, building on efforts being deployed internationally. These organization members will do so by working together and advocating at the political level and in multilateral fora, in particular at the United Nations General Assembly, the United Nations Environmental Assembly, Environment Assembly, and in G7/G12, G20. Informal governance clubs, which hold annual summits of heads of state to discuss issues of global importance. And this global alliance was initiated by European Union. And that's all for the second standard. The third standard is general policy for design of goods or products. Well, this general policy for design right now, according also to the standards of circular economy, is sustainable design, also known as eco-design of products, which means the philosophy of designing physical objects, the built environment and services to comply with the principle of ecological sustainability. It often refers, when you type it in a Google research, it often refers to architectural design of houses, design of buildings of common use, rather than the product design concept. And according to Cambridge Dictionary, sustainable means causing little or no damage to the environment and therefore being able to continue for a long time. So durable stuff. So the sustainable design isn't exactly about waste. It leads, though, to wiser creation of products on the market. Products that are less durable, wear out earlier, and cannot be repaired, and are a direct cost to increase the amounts of trash, of garbage that we want to get rid of. Also, the European Union recently talked about the right of repair, the right to repair things. It's a way to move towards sustainability. It means no more throwing away equipment, appliances that just needs to be repaired, that just needs to be fixed. Producers of household appliances will be required to produce a given model of equipment for a longer period of time, rather than switching from a model to model every year. And spare parts for machines, in turn, will have to be supplied. It is enabled for us to purchase these items for a period of 10 years. The right to repair will cover inter alia washing machines, dishwashers, refrigerators, or lighting. All thanks to sustainable product policy and eco-design, and such act as Eco-Design Directive. There is a worldwide demand for more efficient and sustainable products to reduce energy and resource consumption. The directive sets out this minimum mandatory requirements for the energy efficiency of these products. What actions can be taken based on this Eco-Design Directive? Well, for example, we can set some rules of extended producer responsibility for sustainability. So we should broaden this producer responsibility for things. And also we should, there's an action of making producers responsible for intervention before the product becomes waste. So this is all these take back schemes, providing products as service, providing repair service, providing spare parts for your stuff at home. And as for eco-design, this eco-design approach has an impact on many product characteristics, and which include eco-design as fewer materials, easy to recycle, use of biomaterials. Well, we can argue with that one. Long-lasting stuff, long-lasting items, long-lasting appliances, multi-purpose, reusable, and recyclable materials, lowering emissions, innovation, and green message to the consumers. There are examples of eco-designs in all kinds of consumer goods, such as biodegradable furniture, recycled tableware, edible coffee cups. Yes, you can have a coffee in an edible coffee cup, and bamboo sunglasses, and you can have a bamboo toothbrush, as well as clothes and shoes made with plastic recovered from the ocean. And ecological gold jewelry is also something I've heard of. As for these shoes made of plastic, I remember a case years ago about finding tons of unused shoes at the bottom of the ocean. And it was like a matter of who is responsible for the waste left at the bottom of the ocean. It was shoes, I remember that. I was trying to search for these tons of shoes left in the ocean case, but instead what I've seen is a new ad of Adidas, no product blocking here, but I think it was Adidas making the sneakers, their boots from plastic regenerated taken from the ocean. And I was like shocked that I can have my shoes made with ocean plastic waste. We also have the term of sustainable development goals. You may have met some of these terms. The sustainable development goals or global goals, also it's called global goals, are a collection of 17 interlinked global goals designed to be a blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for us all. And addressing both the generation of waste is an issue, but also a presence of hazardous substances in waste, with a view to promoting technologies focusing on durable, reusable, and recyclable products with less hazardous substances in those products. Also for design, we should make sure that the consumer knows what to do with a given waste. We should obligate producers through a policy of trade to make goods, to make products more like, you should use icons that are understandable for everybody and recognizable without additional actions. A consumer should have this product in his hand and know what to do with a with a waste that is generated from the said product. Because right now, when I try to throw something away from something to my bin, I see this logo, like recycling logo, this triangle made of arrows. But for example, in this arrow, there's written like PP15. And I'm like, PP15. So what kind of trash am I having right now in my hand? Because right now I can wonder sometime about whether I've got a plastic thing in my hand, maybe a paper, like it's very durable paper, maybe it's plastic. And I don't know to which bin should I throw it away. In Poland, we've got like yellow bin for plastic, green bin for glass, blue bin for paper, brown bin for bio waste, and the black bin for normal household waste. And I sometimes wonder, what should I do with a given waste? I know I should give it to recycle bins, one of these color bins, but I don't know which one. Another standard for waste management is Polluter Based Principle. In accordance with this Polluter Based Principle, the cost of waste management shall be borne by the original waste producer or by the current or previous waste owners, I could say. If you create some damage to the environment through leaving untended waste, you should pay for the damage that you've caused. It refers especially to the factories that produce waste, dump them somewhere rather than deal with them according to the waste management hierarchy. But it also deals to every one of us, every and each one of us. We should take responsibility for our garbage. And I've got a few examples of dealing with waste and problem with the polluter-based principle. Well, for example, when I was a participant in a local run, an event, and organizers gave away water for runners, for participants. While you run, you grab a cup, and after you drink, you throw it away. Usually, just you throw it behind yourself because you're running. The organizers, though, there's the agreement between the participant and organizers that the organizers will clean up the area. So the organizers are responsible to collect said waste, and it's okay. But during the same race, though, we have passed by this pile of trash untended, left in a forest, pile of garbage. They were left there, of course, illegally. It is important to find an owner of left waste because otherwise the costs are paid by municipal authorities, which actually means that each and every one of us pays for someone waste. It comes from our taxes in the end. So there is a matter of this untended waste. And I know the issues in my forest were solved by placing monitoring on the trees, and they finally caught a person that was responsible for leaving untended trash. And there should be like high price to pay for doing something like that, like high fines for everybody. The second issue I remember is a truck with radioactive wastes left on the side of the road because it was cheaper for a person that rented the truck in the first place to pay the rent a truck fee rather than pay for utilization of such waste. And of course, after this truck was found, the company that rented this truck was no longer existing. Nobody knew who was responsible. And in the end, municipal authorities had to bear the costs of dealing with those wastes. Another thing that was recently in Poland, during building a national highway in Poland, wastes were found. And there was a question, who takes the responsibility? The owner of the land, an organization that pays for this highway, so usually the government, or the contractor who is building this highway and who was well aware of state and condition of the territory on which he's building the highway. Because the contractor was like, he took the territory, he signed an agreement that he's taking the territory and he's building the highway there. Then he meets some trash and nobody wants to like grab them and pay for utilization of them, like pay for disposal for those trash. And it's a huge issue and it led to the court. I don't know yet how it has ended. Another standard, for example, in the European Union is principles of self-sufficiency and principles of proximity. It is important to establish an integrated and adequate network of safe disposal installations and of installations for the recovery of mixed municipal waste collected from private households, including where such collection also covers such waste from other producers, taking into account best available techniques. This approach leads to international cooperation between countries in dealing with waste, and it can be led two different ways. The first way is selling your garbage, selling your waste to the other country. It is usually individual case, individual agreement for each portion, each amount of waste. And second option is bilateral, multilateral agreements for providing such a service all the time for each amount of waste. Because we have to remember that not every state can afford technologically advanced facilities that are the best, that are designed to deal with some products, especially hazardous products. And it is important that states cooperate with each other in managing such waste. So the management will be less harmful. And the last standard is setting some special rules in handling hazardous waste, because the international community should make a priority proper management of hazardous waste. From maintaining consistent, clear, widely recognizable symbolism on the products, hazardous products. As for hazardous waste, the responsibility should be stricter, responsibility for management such waste. Countries that buy waste for the purpose of recycling, like buying plastic waste, often state that not all of the wastes that come to them are actually plastic waste. It was an issue of, I don't remember which state, Philippines, that they received 13 containers of what was supposed to be recyclable plastic. And yet there was like medical waste there, so hazardous waste. There was an unrecyclable plastic in there also. And they ended up with returning some of the containers back to the state that sent such waste. So they sent the waste back. Not to mention that hazardous wastes are usually toxic for the environment and they can cause much more damage than normal household waste. Why is today's topic so important for us? Well, as I mentioned at the beginning, waste is a growing problem for the international community. Of course, waste management can be left to the interest of individual countries, individual states. This will lead to the situation in which each country will conduct its own policy, issue its own acts, legal acts, and enforce what it deems necessary. However, not every country has the capacity, has the possibilities to fully investigate the impacts and risk of substances that become waste and how to manage some substances, manage variety of waste. Not everybody has the possibility to assess what to do with some waste. Not every country will be equally effective in creating the right legislation to deal with waste. It is necessary to exchange information, exchange experiences, practice, and to develop international cooperation. It is desirable to set uniform, coherent directions of activities in the field of environmental policy, especially in managing waste. An unfavorable policy of one country has an impact on the environment in which we all live. If one member of the international community leads to a dangerous, significant pollution of waters through poor waste management in his country, it will lead to a threat to the others, because we can imagine a situation if the water becomes contaminated, the contamination travels along with water to sea, to the ocean, and those oceans are common good of international society and not just the interest of one country. The release of harmful substances into the air in one country as a result of weather and other conditions will affect the air quality of its neighbors. There is a case widely known in the European Union of Poland versus Czech Republic and open pit mine in Turów, because during digging up coal, air is contaminated, and the contamination is going abroad to our neighbors, to Czech Republic, and they're of course and rightfully displeased with the situation. Greenhouse gas emission also will contribute to the deterioration of the climate across the whole planet. The environment is not individual matter of each and every country. We have one environment, one planet, so we all have to take care of it. The environmental situation will degrade drastically in the upcoming years if no legal steps are taken. Societies get richer, so consumerism increases and increases the demand for material goods. The population is growing with projections of up to 10 billion people in 2050 instead of 8 billion people. Manufactured equipment goods are less durable due to the huge scale of production. Therefore, they deteriorate, damage themselves, and end up as waste faster. They break down, they create more waste. The technological possibilities of exploiting natural resources like coal are increasing. Extraction drawing from the resources of our planet is possible right now on bigger and bigger scale. Also, the pollutants generated in recent years will overlap, because we try to usually deal with emerging issues right now with the amount of waste that we create during our year. But we have to remember that a few years ago, there was no international policy on waste management, on environmental protection that developed that it is right now. We are right now having better environmental policy than we have earlier. So some issues from the years past can emerge right now. So who has the actual power to set some standards of global waste management? We finally arrived here to the role of organizations in the international community. International organizations are gaining new competences and their role becomes more and more important. Moreover, they're perceived as a second channel apart from the diplomatic service, in which political contacts take place and international state policy is conducted. So we've got two types of organization. international organizations. First one is intergovernmental, and the second one is non-governmental. So the term intergovernmental organization, IGO in abbreviation, refers to an entity created by a treaty involving two or more nations to work in good faith on issues of common interest. In the absence of a treaty, an IGO does not exist in a legal sense. An IGO has to have a treaty, so a treaty that will appoint some bodies of this organization with some competences. Also, this treaty will set some goals and methods of operation of the organization in this treaty. We also have what I mentioned, apart from intergovernmental organization, we also have non-governmental organization, NGO in abbreviation. It is a non-profit group that functions independently of any government. NGOs, sometimes called civil societies, are organized on community, national, and international levels to pursue social or political goals such as humanitarian causes or the environment. And both types of these organizations, these intergovernmental and these non-governmental organizations, work in favor of maintaining clear and safe environment. Of course, the largest and most famous international organization is the United Nations. Together with the specialized organization of the United Nations and the funds and the agencies of the United Nations system is called UN Family. It is important on the international arena because of number of its participants, 193 right now, and it proves its international range and its international impact. So United Nations is one place where the world's nations can gather together, discuss common problems, and find shared solutions. So I, of course, search for some environmental initiatives from United Nations. And here we have the United Nations Environment Programme, which is a leading global environmental authority that sets the global environmental agenda, promotes the coherent implementation of the environmental dimension of sustainable development within the United Nations system, and serves as an authoritative advocate for the global environment. So they speak in favor of global environment. And a part of this United Nations Environment Programme is the Global Waste Management Outlook. This Global Waste Management Outlook is a collective effort of United Nations Environment Programme and the International Waste Management Association. And it is a pioneering scientific global assessment on the state of waste management and a call for action for the entire international community to take care of the proper waste management. I mentioned International Waste Management Association, and it is a great example of a non-governmental, independent, and non-profit international organization that focuses on waste. The International Waste Management Association is an international network of waste professionals and experts from around the world, whose mission is to promote and develop sustainable and professional waste management worldwide and the transition to a circular economy, rather than singular linear economy. While some organizations can have influence on waste management, though not straightforward, we can point out the situation of food and the job of Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO, because they will definitely, this is an agency of United Nations that leads international efforts to defeat hunger, and they definitely will handle issues with food waste and minimizing food waste to defeat hunger and to make more food available on worldwide arena. We also have this UNFCCC Secretariat. It's a Secretariat or UN Climate Change entity. It is the United Nations entity tasked with supporting the global response to the threat of climate change. And this UNFCCC, it's strange abbreviation, UNFCCC, stands for United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. That's how those three C's appear, Convention on Climate Change. And I mention it because of the 2018 United Nations Climate Change Conference, which was 24th conference of the parties of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And it was also known as Katowice Climate Change Conference, which was held in my hometown. I was a participant, and I remember that we discussed waste management in accordance to climate changes and environmental policy. And to set some international principles for waste management, we need some base in the meaning of justification of our actions in waste management in the international arena. And so we have the rights to environment. In recent years, the recognition of the links between human rights and the environment has greatly increased. Environmental rights are related to human rights, even sometimes count as one. Some people count to human rights and right to have the clean and safe environment. While people's livelihoods, their health, and sometimes their very existence depend upon the quality of and their access to the surrounding environment, as well as the recognition of their rights to information, participation, security, and redress about and of environment. In an era of globalized waste management, international environmental law main function is not simply to protect and preserve nature and the environment. Rather, it should be conceived of as a set of norms, institutions, and practices designed to manage waste on a global scale. And an important problem is that we don't have legal instruments on the international arena, that are legally binding to the participants in the international arena. Because of the fact we also, we also don't have like a judicial system that could enforce some laws. It can be hard, challenging to execute laws. Of course, we can go to international court, but usually if both parties have some dispute and they agree to go in front of such court. But I found out something interesting. Ecocide, the term of ecocide, and what is ecocide, and can it be prosecuted by the International Criminal Court? The International Criminal Court prosecutes some of the most heinous, in a meaning of utterly odious or wicked crimes against humanity. A new plan wants to add environmental damage as ecocide, this term ecocide, to list of responsibilities of International Criminal Court. Mass environmental destruction, known as ecocide, would become an international crime similar to genocide and war crimes under a proposed new legal definition. The definition was worked out in June this year, so it's like totally fresh, by a panel of 12 lawyers from around the world. And it marks a first big step in global campaign efforts to prevent future environmental disasters, like the deforestation of the Amazon forest, or actions that contribute to climate change. There are currently 4 core international crimes handled by International Criminal Court, which are genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and the crime of aggression. These crimes are dealt with under by the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. And right now we are discussing the possibility of ecocide. And the definition of ecocide is unlawful or wanton acts committed with knowledge that there is a substantial likelihood of severe and either widespread or long-term damage to the environment being caused by those acts. But this definition is setting and coming up with this definition, it's just a start, because it has to go through the wide range of discussion, the possibility of actually taking international participants responsible for the ecocide, and what to qualify as ecocide. And as for other actions that may be taken as for how do we set some standards for international waste management, Well, we can set some standards through organizing international conferences. We can share best practices among the countries, among the states. We can conclude international multilateral agreements on waste management. And of course, we can recognize principles of proper waste management in the international arena. So we can set some example and be aware of what to do with our waste, how to properly handle our waste, so they will not be a threat for the environment. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Oh, Zofia, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Is there any kind of governmental initiatives to promote businesses' transition into having a circular business instead of the singular business?
Well, there is this possibility of a system based on rewards. Like, for example, when you are a producer, a manufacturer, you pay a lot of taxes and for the social burdens. A state can decide, a European Union, for example, an organization can decide that you pay less taxes because you provide greener products, better products, more sustainable products. You can also be rewarded, like there can be some fund created for you to develop greener solutions and then share it on the international arena. You should have money for your research, money for development of better products. So I think the system, this reward system, rather than actually punishing someone for not being able to meet all those high standards in waste management, I think this reward system that encourages you to be a manufacturer, to be a producer that obeys this whole green manufacturing process. Like for pharmaceuticals, there is this idea of providing greener pharmaceutical substances that will degrade in environment to less harmful substances than the current ones. So I think the system of rewards as funds, as less taxes for some products, and I think non-governmental instruments. It is also, we have a society with raising awareness of environmental problems. And many of my friends, when they can and they are informed that one product is an eco product, a greener product, they tend to choose a greener product. So also not from the governmental side, the governmental actions. The producer, the manufacturer can also be encouraged to use circular economy, greener products and recyclable materials through informing consumers and through consumers choosing these better products on the market.
It is really interesting to see how customers themselves can promote greener products by choosing to buy them.
Yes, we've got this zero waste policy. I don't know if you heard of it. Zero waste policy, zero waste type of living. Like when you go to your grocery store, go with this bag that is going to last longer, that is going to be reused rather than taking a new one little plastic bag at the store. Protecting environment can actually happen on a level of our everyday life. Though when I hear about issues at the international arena of the huge companies and their amount of producing waste, I think I'm like this little in my everyday actions in comparison to their actions towards the environment. Yes.
Don't worry, every action counts. And I believe that even your action and my action counts, even when it comes to the international arena.
Yes, small steps, but we're moving forward. I can say that, for example, in my own household, 10 years ago, we've got like one bin. Yes, then we've got for every type of waste. Then we've got two bins for every type of waste, and maybe some plastics, some paper. And right now I've got 5 different bins, and I use each and every bin the same amount, and I try to recycle much more stuff than I tried to recycle 10 years ago.
Wow, 5 different bins. That's a
Yes.
really big. Yeah, the biggest I've seen was 3 things.
I have to, because when you live in apartment flats, like few apartments in one building, you've got common garbage bins, and not many people cares. But when you move to this one family house on the suburbs, you have to segregate your trash, because they give you those bags, each color for each trash, and you can't just throw everything to one bin. You have to throw things to those bags, and you leave the bags in front of your door. So that's how they make sure that we actually segregate our trash. And if we don't, we have to pay double for double monthly. We have to pay double for our trash monthly. Yeah.
Really makes sense. Yeah. Thank you so much, Zofia. I think this is it for today. That's right.
Okay, I don't know, any questions? I have no access for Facebook right now, but
I do have access, and we don't have any questions. Like, people are finding it very interesting, but I don't have questions.
if anybody
going
has
with
any
that
questions in future, I'm open to answering them. So maybe not today, but in the future, no problem.
Yeah, it would be good to leave them with your email, right? To
Yeah,
reach out for more. This will be perfect. Awesome. So make sure to send this to me, and I will post it on Facebook.
Okay.
If you want.
I will.
Okay. Thank you so
very
much, Zofia. We're very glad to have you today with us.
I am so glad, and I really like your initiative of this global community and global discussion on the most important matters. So thank you very much for having me here.
You're welcome. And as you said, the Global Institute of Law is made to promote the legal education, research, and training. So that's what we are doing right now, isn't it?
Yes, and that's great. That's awesome. There should be more such actions.
Yeah, and we're going to be looking to have you in the future for more collaboration with us.
Can you repeat?
We're going to be looking to have you in the future for more collaboration with us.
Yes, I will look forward to it too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zofia. We're very glad that we had you today with us.
Bye-bye, and greetings from Poland to everybody also.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Okay. शुक्र है अच्छा हुआ